Welcome to another episode of AniBreak, the show where we talk about anime, manga, and video games. My name's Jason, and this week we have a wide assortment of stuff to talk about. Everything from girls in tanks to news about Production I.G starting a kickstarter for a new project. There's a lot of stuff to go through. Now, in the past couple weeks, I've given you basically a selection of 5 series that are starting in the fall season that actually has just started in Japan. Thankfully, most of them are starting to get picked up by U.S. companies, namely Viz, Crunchyroll, a couple on Funimation. It takes some time to get all of them because there's about 30, if I remember correctly. I'm going to talk about these 6 today. These are going to be the final 6 because, you know what, it's already starting. I can't keep on giving more and more about this. Let's start off with Shinsekai Yori, or also known as From the New World. Episode 1 is currently available on Crunchyroll. It's going to be a 12-episode series. What is it nowadays? And it's about a future Japan. Think like 1,000 years in the future. It's a fractured country, Japan, and small towns now exist. So you're thinking it's in the future, but they're back to like the feudal time somehow. It's a weird first episode. The rulers of this world have the cursed power of telekinesis. I don't know how that's a curse. When an incident occurs, 5 children come to realize the world is not as it seems and learn the bloody history behind this world. These 5 children unite and help the world as it falls into a downward spiral of chaos. So we have high school kids, telekinesis, lots of blood. There's several other series that have these same exact topics that need to have a continuation, a new season. I can see where this is going. I watched the first episode last night on Crunchyroll, and yeah, there's some things that you're looking at and like, okay, this could be just an elongated drama with not much action. And then there's these simple little things like, where's Timmy at? Timmy's no longer here. And they don't give it any explanation why, but the parents are like, yeah, Timmy's no longer here. There's a graveyard behind the school for some reason. Yeah. The next one, I'm not even going to try to say the Japanese title because I will screw this up and then make many of you drink, because I know a lot of people are watching both the debate and this right now. The English translation of the title is Regardless of My Adolescent Delusions of Grandeur, I Want to Date. It's 12 episodes. Episode 1 is currently available on the Anime Network, so if you have a subscription to that, you can go check that out. The summary, you have a high school freshman who is basically an over self-conscious middle schooler. He wants to bury his embarrassing past and wants to start brand new in high school. What kid doesn't want to do that? And he fails miserably. So he has some friends. One of his friends is called Rika Takanashi. Also, had embarrassing time in middle school, wants to try to change for high school. Has found traces of residual symptoms on him and used the fact to force Togashi, the main character, to make a contract. Yeah, the way it's spun is basically high school slice of life. I'm not. This is one that I watched a 5-minute preview online. Granted, it wasn't subbed, so my broken Japanese, I kind of understood what was going on. I will give it a couple episodes to see if it's any good. No, Prinizawa in the chat. No, it's not Cube. It's not that bad of a contract. Though that would be, I don't know if they want to have Cube start jumping different series. This one, you can watch for yourself on the Anime Network, see what you think of it. I'm gonna give it a couple episodes just to see if it gets past this initial plot and goes somewhere. If not, it'll be one of those you just dropped in the trash can. Remember a few episodes ago when I was saying, you know what? Every single anime season, there always has to be something to do with incest. Some season, some series has incestuous, topics. Maybe the incest is actually the main part of the plot. Like Yosuga no Sora, or Kiss X Sis, and a bunch of other stuff like that. This season is no different. We have One-chan dakedo aisai areba kanekani yone. I think I said that right. I could be wrong. Basically, you have a brother and sister. They're twins. They've been separated for a long time. Let me just virus drink. Yes, you got a drink now. There you go. Let's talk about the summary. You have Akiko makes no effort to hide her brother complex. She has it bad in the worst way. She even goes as far as trying to convince her twin brother Akito to make their first night together a memorable one. I've never ever met a girl who is, well, I can't say that, never mind. Now, like in all anime, Akito calmly rejects his sister's many advances. However, Akiko is determined to prove that love can overcome any obstacle. So you have, well, in this situation, you can exchange love for lust and it'd be the exact same thing. So this girl's lust for her brother cannot be quenched. It's Japan. Leave it at that. Drink. Was incest is not wincest unless it's twincest. And that's the quote of the evening. I like that. Just to give you an example of what you'd expect from the character design. There's the girls right there. Akiko's the one on the bottom. And not surprisingly, you're going to find other girls who want to jump the, Akito's bones in numerous ways. So there's always going to be competition. I wonder if this is going to get anywhere close, I should say, to the levels of, well, cheesy horribleness that was Nakaimo from last season. And I got Michael on that because I started watching one night, wasn't expecting much from it, and it was so bad, it was entertaining as hell. And then it finally got some sort of a plot structure, like, okay, it's still bad. I can never hear the words cream puffs that's the same way again. But yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be the replacement for Nakaimo for this season. So we'll see what happens with that. Why am I getting emails? Whatever. Okay. Here's a new one. Not every season, but every other season it seems like there's military otaku series that people are going to just go nuts for, whether it's guns or it's based in World War II or something like that. This season, it's called Girls und Panzer. This is, the story follows a little girl named Miho, who just transferred to the Orai Girls Academy in Ibakari. She finds herself alone at first, but then joins the tank combat course. In this scroll, the girls drive, of course, what else? Real live tanks. While other girls, take archery or kendo, these girls drive freaking tanks. World War II tanks. Okay. It cannot be any bad as, what was that one with the anthropomorphic assault rifles? I can't remember for the life of me right now. The chat room helped me out with this. No, it's not Gunsleek. No, it's not Upote, that's what it was. Yeah. Upote kind of spun in a semi-different way for the sole fact that the girls were the assault rifles, but they were shooting other guns at the same time. Think of it as you will. This one, you basically have high school girls driving tanks around. Can't be any worse than that. Oh, well. Well, you know what? I do. I have a trailer for it. It's about 1:50, and we can discuss a little more about it afterwards. Yeah, the animation is generic. The character designs seem very reminiscent of another series that was based on something about war and whatnot, which was Strike Witches, which I can't believe I said that's related against war. That's more against no pants. And it's not surprising for that fact because most of the people who worked on Strike Witches worked on this. So, well, there you go. I'm not looking forward to this other than having some cheap laughs. If you're into this kind of thing, more power to you. Am I going to be, watching this with bated breath every single week? Probably not. The time frame that I'll probably watch that is probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm already drunk. Just because. Now, the next series, there hasn't been much information about it, but I'm still completely psyched for its Initial D 5th stage. I was a huge fan of Initial D. Hell, I was a huge fan of the horribly live action adaptation of the series that was made in China. And they even changed the names, and at least the car racing was cool. But it is coming back for a what they call it, a 5th stage. Unfortunately, we're not going to see too much of it here in the States, and here's the reason why. It's going to show on the on Animax television channel in Japan. Right after that, it's going to be available on their pay-per-view service, and they're only going to release like 2 episodes a month, if that. So it's a paid service to watch 2 episodes a month by itself. So if it's ever going to come over stateside, we don't know yet. It could not, but it's going to be a bit of a wait until it actually does come over stateside, or at least be licensed by somebody. But anyways, the last one I want to talk about, I've talked about it on the show before. It's Medical Box. And the second season was announced, and it's called Medical Box Abnormal. The first season was streamed on Crunchyroll and actually licensed by Sentai Filmworks. We're going to release it on Blu-ray and DVD stateside. That's one I'll probably pick up. It's only like 12 or 13 episodes long. And if you guys remember, I said that this series out Dragon Ball Z. Now, there are a couple other series that actually, try to make that claim. For example, I think it was Naruto is basically the way Dragon Ball Z should have been, and then Bleach is the way Naruto should have been. But, we're not going to go down that path. It's not much of a spoiler, but when you watch the series initially, you're like, how in the hell is this Dragon Ball Z? Then you get to the last few episodes and you're like, holy crap, okay, now I understand why. Let me play the new trailer for the second season. It's about 1:40, and we'll talk a little more afterwards. When you watch it, if you've not seen the first season, you're looking at it going, you know what? Okay, it's kind of a little better than standard animation, and I'm not understanding why it's better than DBZ. I'm not going to spoil anything beyond just watch the first season. It's on Crunchyroll. Yes, the girl has ginormous boobs. She has huge tracts of land. No. The interesting thing is that she's head of the student council, and all those badges she has on her arm are actually all the other positions of the student council. That at the beginning, she was doing all that herself, and slowly throughout the series, she was finding people she trusted and starts handing off positions to those people. The way it ended in the first season, I'm really curious to see how they're going to one-up that for season 2. I'm hoping that the action that was seen in the last part of the first season doesn't wait to the last part of the second season for that to happen again. I'm hoping like everybody who's watched the first season now knows, okay, these things can happen. These things need to happen more often in this series, and it'll actually get more popular. But, oh well. But that's the 6th series I wanted to talk about that's starting this fall season. I want to talk about some other anime going on. Let's start with... It's kind of have to do with anime. Let's talk about NicoNico.com. This is the English offshoot of Nico Nico Doga. And at the beginning it was okay, I gave it a good idea. It's basically you get most of the stuff you get from Nico Nico, but actually hasn't, it's translated to English and you have access to it and it's legit. Okay, I can understand that. Nico Nico has announced October 17th they're shutting down NicoNico.com. Here's the thing, though. That's not a bad thing. Because the reason for the shutdown of the .com of the English site is that they're incorporating everything from NicoNico.com over to the Japanese one. And they're actually going to translate everything into English. So if you're a member of NicoNico.com, you'll still have your same login information, your account information, all that, but you'll have a much wider selection of videos that you can actually access. I think this is kind of cool, especially for the part that Nico Nico loves to stream some pretty big events over in Japan. And without trying to, one, learn Japanese, which everybody should anyways, and two, mess up, trying to pay for something in yen versus, US dollars and all that. You can actually do this legally. It's full legit. It's going to be in English. You'll have access to it. It's another reason why you should get a NicoNico.com account. Go check it out. If you haven't got a new account, I believe new accounts have been suspended for the time being. Once they transfer over to the actual Japanese site, you'll be able to actually sign up for an account then. The main part I got to say about Nico Nico is that if you want to watch some new series that are streaming, remember, Funimation has that deal with Nico Nico to stream most of the new series on there, and then Funimation gets the chance to throw them on DVD and Blu-ray here in the States. So yes, it's another monthly fee. If you're already paying for Hulu Plus, Netflix, Crunchyroll, all of that, it does start to add up. These, $5, $6, $7 here and there. I think it's still worth to at least support the industry one way or another. Yes, you can torrent all this stuff all you want, but then again, you're not really going to support the industry that much. Not going to get into that debate here because I can't really go down that debate. Let's talk about Production I.G. They are hands down my favorite studio in all of Japan. And they have a ton of new stuff coming out. They have a lot of backers for a lot of different series. But surprisingly enough, they are going to Kickstarter for this new project. Now, if you've never heard of the famed director Masaaki Yusa, you might think of things like Tatami Galaxy, Mind Game, a lot of like trippy stuff. Yuasa is actually teamed up with Production I.G to create this little small one-off piece. Let me show you just the video, and we can talk more afterwards. This will explain it better than I can. So if that was kind of confusing, let me break it down. So Production I.G is starting a Kickstarter for a new like one-off piece called Kick Heart. The two main characters are called Romeo and Juliet. No, it's not about that, Shakespeare stuff. Romeo is a successful pro wrestler, and Juliet is a nun who leads a secret double life as a female pro wrestler. Romeo loves getting his ass kicked in the ring, while Juliet loves kicking out people's asses. So you have a sub and a dom pro wrestlers in the ring who are leading double lives and who start falling in love with each other. Only in Japan. Or some acid trip. It's interesting that Production I.G, who's always been able to get a crap load of money from in support of all their other projects, that they decided to go for a Kickstarter. Maybe it's just because they either A, want to start explore this new path where the fans are actually paying for the film before it even comes out, or B, maybe things are not going to be as good as we thought. Then again, earlier last month, Production I.G announced that a backer for a new series actually pulled out, and even after Production I.G put 1.5 million yen into it. So it made this way for them to try to regain some of their lost funds. So if you guys want to support this, even if it's a simple like $1 or $2, I'm gonna probably throw like $5 or $6 to it. They're looking for $150,000. They only started 3 days ago. They already have 762 backers, and they have over $63,000 supported. So I think they can easily hit it. I'm hoping they will. But then again, like most Kickstarters, when it starts off, the first few days are rush of funds, and then for the middle part of the month, it's dead, maybe $5 or $10 here and there, and then there's a big push at the end. So we'll see what happens. I'm 100% positive they're going to hit this. So I'm sure they'll actually even go past the $150,000. I would not be surprised. Okay, let's talk about something that's bad for people who are living in Japan. There was a controversial bill that was passed, not the one about, the whole, I think it was like Bill 118 or something like that, where you couldn't sell manga or anime that depicted what some people could consider to be underage children or whatnot. It was bad. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, pedo stuff. Yeah, there you go. This new law that went into effect, I believe, yesterday, introduces jail time for people who are caught downloading pirated media in Japan. So if someone catches you downloading content, like people can torrent anything and everywhere. But now if people in Japan catch you, the law catches you in Japan downloading stuff, you can get up to 2 years in prison and fines of up to almost 2 million yen. If you're caught uploading stuff, you can be thrown in jail for up to 10 years and up to a 10 million yen fine. So the way I see all of this is, okay, the RIAA's version of Japan, which is the RIAJ, they're like, oh, cool, we have this law now. We can go out and support these people. Here's my thing, though. I'm not going to try to say I'm in support of piracy or I'm against it. I'm just going to be neutral on that on this show. But I'm going to say this. The RIAA has made, let's face it, many people's lives hell, especially if they get caught. But for each one person who gets caught, there are thousands of other people who just download stuff all the time. I foresee that to be the same problem here over in Japan. So, sucks to be them over there. I'm hoping it'll be overturned or people will get wise. We'll see what happens. Just support the industry one way or the other. But that's what I want to talk about, at least in the world of anime. Got a couple things in video games before we wrap this up. Let's start with Sony. You know, they're starting their day one digital initiative. Basically, a lot of their major titles that are coming out for the PS3, the same day that comes out retail in brick and mortar stores, you can buy a digital copy of it online through the PlayStation Network. They have a deal going on right now that throughout the month of October, if you spend more than $100, which some people may be like, oh, that's a lot of money. There's no way you can spend $100 online. Trust me. It'll cost you more to download 2 brand new titles than to try to do all the DLC for $100. But here's the deal. If you buy $100 or more in October, in November, you get $20 back. So if you're already planning on buying a couple games in October for the PS3, and you don't mind not having a physical copy, go ahead and download it. Just pull up the PSN. If you have any problems with it, you can always download it at a later time. And then next month, you get $20 back. So if you want to get DLC, or if you want to pick up something else, something small, you can do that. As far as I can tell, this is actually a good idea. I don't know if I personally am going to take advantage of this because I'm not made of money. But for those of you who already plan on buying games, I think it's a nice little deal. You're going to buy these things anyways, get them online, and get some money back. Until the network goes down. Yeah, that's the problem with Sony servers. Let's talk. Why is my phone going off? I don't care. Why is Shane calling me? Shane, I have a show right now. Sorry. Let's talk about one more thing you can do on the PlayStation Network. They have their own little like avatar kind of thing called PlayStation Home. When I picked up a PS3, yeah, I checked it out for about a day and got completely bored with it and never jumped on it again. Those who have a PSN Japanese account, which is easy as hell to get, I can probably do a quick tutorial about that after the show if you guys don't have one yet. They're doing a little promotion in collaboration with the third Evangelion flick to be released later this year, I think in like November. They have a new selection of clothes. You might have recognized these things a little bit. Let me give you an image. Yes, to collaborate with the Eva film, you can get your avatar decked out in the plug suits. It's about $5. If you're interested in it, you should probably pick it up. It's going to be Rei in her plug suit, Rei in her school suit. There's going to be a couple other ideas, but mostly it's going to focus around Rei. My whole thing is, if you're interested in it and you actually use PlayStation Home, which is maybe like 4% of the entire gaming community, if that, check it out. Take some pictures for the rest of us who don't use PlayStation Home. If you want to spend the money, or let me rephrase that. If you don't want to spend the money, I'm sure there'll be tons of other videos and pictures online if you want to Google off after. Then again, if you're a hardcore Eva fan, I'm sure there's some of you who actually go out there, create a Japanese PSN account just to get this. And you'll be like, hey, look, guys, what I got. And that'll be it for a month. And you'll go back to whatever you were doing before. Yeah, so a little bonus you can have if you're an Eva fan on PlayStation Network. But, that's pretty much everything I have for this episode. Didn't want to put too much in for the sole fact that a lot of you are watching the presidential debate probably still, and most of you are probably drunk. I wish I was one of you with them. I was trying to follow this drinking game. Can't really get too good of a shot. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys to check that out. Yeah, things like if he addresses his opponent in the third person, ignores the question by addressing the audience completely. I want to talk to the people back at home in their couches and in their chairs. You have to take a drink. Yeah. There's no way I could even attempt to continue on with that drinking game. Not because I would get too drunk I would pass out, but because I don't have enough alcohol in the house right now to follow that. Virus. Why would I watch that? Yeah, good point. I hope this has been more entertaining than the actual debate. But that's it for this episode of AniBreak. Stay tuned for a post show where we can bitch, complain about the new shows, or laugh about what's going on with the debate or anything else. Also, if you guys are new, thank you for joining us. I see there's more people on the show tonight than before. Let you guys know, on Fridays I actually do a show with Michael Underwood called From My Mother's Basement, where Michael and I talk about stuff, everything about nerds. So yes, there's some anime stuff in there, but we also talk about video games, tech, comics, sci-fi, and it's just fun. We just go off on massive tangents, and it's entertaining as all hell. So if you guys want to join us for that, that's Fridays at 7 p.m. on the same website you're at right now. Alright, that'll be it for this episode of AniBreak. You can follow me on Facebook or Twitter at OtakuLife Jason. I really appreciate if you guys spread that word around as well. And thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.